I think a lot of us have a pretty clear picture of our dream self, the version of you a couple years down the line who stuck with the habits, you didn't give up on your goals, you maybe live a life that's a little more luxurious, you're more present for mundane moments, you don't rush through your nighttime skincare routine like it's an emergency. That version of yourself can feel very far away, especially if you're traipsing around your house in some old, torn up, oversized pajamas. Feeling your best should not be reserved for when you are leaving your house and being perceived by other people. You deserve to feel your best at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday on your couch in a cute pajama set. The issue is that highest version of me has expensive taste. That's okay because I've got a sewing machine, I have fabric, and I have an amount of audacity that makes literally anything possible. I nailed it, first try. This was a good start, I think. We're doing 3 projects in this video. I'm gonna walk you through the plan. This is my Notion. It's where I organize all of my projects. I always get questions. This is called Notion. I am making a template for you guys to have this exact design, but it's taking me a minute. So be patient with me. We're doing projects 13 through 15 in this video, and I am most excited about 13. This set was originally designed by Mira Pillay, and it was probably at least a few $100. Their stuff is pricey, but everything they make is stunning and gorgeous and perfect and beautiful and made of really high quality material. This set is 100% silk, so like, I'm not saying it's overpriced. I think they're charging probably too little, but it's still out of my price range. So instead of buying the knockoff version of this on TikTok Shop, I want to make it myself because I think that's the most ethical way to go about getting something like this for myself. I obviously couldn't find any patterns that would get me something exactly like this, so we're going to have to hack. And we'll see if my ideas work, but it kind of looks similar to a circle skirt to me with straps and a cowl neck, because the bottom circumference is much larger than the top circumference, so it's not gathered or anything. So to get this look, I'm going to use the Orla dress pattern on Etsy. I'll have it linked below, and that's going to be the base for the bottom. I'm gonna hack it to where it's a sort of U-neck, like the original inspiration, rather than a V-neck, and then I'll have to totally figure out how to do straps that give me something similar to this. I don't really know how to do this yet. That's future me's problem. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to use the method in this video to create the neckline strap situation, and then I'm going to layer some chiffon fabric over top to sort of fake the cowl. I don't want to go too much in depth explaining that because I don't really know what I'm gonna do yet. So again, that's future me's problem. Because this is an experiment and because I don't have a lot of practice working with slippery fabrics, I think I've worked with satin twice, I don't feel comfortable graduating to silk because it's expensive and I hear it's hard to work with. If this design works and I get more comfortable using slippery fabric, I think it'll be totally worth it to get myself some real silk and make this set in a couple different colors. I think that'd be cute. But for now, I'm using poly chiffon for the top and poly crepe back satin for the underlayer. I don't love the idea of sleeping in plastic, but it would be silly to do this out of real silk because, again, we're just kind of experimenting. Let's just take a moment for this design. It's so pretty. Okay, I hope this works. Let's get started. I was responsible this time and I did a mock-up before cutting my real fabric and confirmed that this pattern I think is a great base for what we want to do. I determined that we do not need the zipper because a zipper for pajamas would be crazy. I just sewed up the center back and it has plenty of room to either pull over your head or to step in. So not an issue for the actual one. I'm just going to do a French seam down the center back and we won't need any additional closures. Turning the V-neck into a U shape was super simple. I literally just rounded out that line without bringing it any deeper or wider, just kind of smoothed it out a little bit. Not a big adjustment at all. I think it's a little long, especially for pajamas. I don't want mine to be as short as the original because I won't be doing shorts. It's just going to be a nightgown, but this is too long. So on the paper pattern, I took off about 3 inches all the way around up from the hem. I still don't really know how to do the top. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm kind of feeling like I just want to cut the fabric, so we're just gonna cut the fabric. Okay, I pinned this to my dress so we can get an idea of where we're at. We're nowhere near done, but I do think this is a really good starting point. So annoyed that the front is so short. I'm gonna leave it hanging on the mannequin so it can drop overnight. That way we can let it stretch out on the bias and then trim it. I'm just gonna call it a day because I don't really know what to do next. I don't have enough fabric to make a facing, I don't think. So that leaves me with the option of just doing bias binding all the way around, but also I need to do straps, so I don't know when. I just don't know what the order should be, so I'm going to think about it, maybe look at the pattern instructions, that might be helpful, and we'll catch up tomorrow. But this was a good start, I think. Hopefully I didn't flash anybody. The only way I could think to create the shape that I needed was to basically pin a piece of fabric onto the mannequin and trace the shape. Once I drew a shape that I thought could work for straps, I ended up just cutting that out and using those pieces as pattern pieces for some cotton fabric, and to my surprise, I think this is great. I actually don't think we need to tweak it at all. It worked out the first try, which is rare for me, but I did get a little bit of puckering, but I think that's just because I was maybe sewing too fast or maybe didn't really take the care needed to pin it properly. And then the only other note I have to myself is I need to notch on the dress where this needs to not be attached, if that makes sense. Like where this separates into straps, I think it needs to be sewn together for a little bit longer. And then also we need to take care of this raw underarm situation, and to do that I just made some bias binding, so I'm going to clip into the dress to give myself a start and an end point, cover that in binding, and then we're going to just use this to create a paper pattern and cut the same exact shape out of the actual fashion fabric. I had 2 options for how I would create that neckline situation, because if you look, it's not a flat strap. You can tell that there's some volume added from chiffon that has been placed on top of a flat strap. I don't know how it was done though, and I basically have 2 options. My plan A would be to drape some chiffon over the top of the straps once they're completed and basically hand stitch it on there. I think that would look most like the original. I don't really know where or how I would attach it. It's kind of a cross that bridge when you get there type of situation. My other option is to basically cut the same thing just longer so that it's more of a flounce and it kind of will give a similar look, but it's not going to be the same. And it'll be sandwiched between the shell and the lining of the strap piece. So I know how that would be constructed. In my head, that is easier, but it would need to be done now. So even though it's not exactly the same as the original, I think I'm gonna go with that method because there's just a clearer picture in my mind of how it will work. If it doesn't look good, we'll just seam rip it and take it off. If I started with the plan A, then I would have to do quite a few steps backwards in seam ripping in order to do this option. Hopefully I'm not confusing anybody, but let me show you how I do it, or how I'm thinking I'll do it. We might need to adjust course. It's trial and error with this one. I am finishing up the neckline. I'm at the point where you really can't do this on the machine. You have to hand stitch this part. And I always hated hand sewing anything. Mainly because I don't like doing things that I don't feel like I'm good at. But it was really just that I never took the time to learn the technique of how to properly do it. So recently I took a class by Bernadette Banner called Hand Sewing Basics on Skillshare. They are sponsoring today's video. I'm really excited to work with them. I learned that I was really doing a lot of things wrong, mainly one, that I don't need to double up the thread. It's unnecessary and bulky. I'm using a single strand, creates a much more delicate and dainty stitch. The second thing that really helped is you don't need to use knots to start and stop the thread. She will show you a technique that looks so much better, blends in a lot more. I also learned a handful of stitches and when they're best used. I love Skillshare for this kind of stuff because it's creatives that you've probably heard of teaching their passion, and it really comes through in the lessons. I love learning from somebody who is excited about their craft. If you've been wanting to learn something new, start a new hobby, or just get better at something you already love, I really do think Skillshare is a great place to start. Their classes are broken down into more digestible lessons, which I have found is the best way that I learn. If I'm on Skillshare, I'm locked in, I'm not getting distracted by other forms of content or other things. If I'm on Skillshare, I'm there to learn, and I love that. The first 500 people to click the link in my description box or scan the QR code will get a month of Skillshare for free. So click around, see if you find something on there that sparks your interest. I'm very confident that you will find more than one class that you want to take right away. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I joined back in 2020, so this is kind of surreal, honestly. But anyway, yeah, check them out. They'll be in the link below. I'm gonna finish this up, the hand sewing. Once I'm done with that, I need to trim this. You guys saw how wonky the hem is. It's very uneven. And I know that's gonna be such a hard task and it's gonna frustrate me, so I'm gonna do that off camera. And then I'll just use a baby hem for the little neck flounce and of course the hem, and maybe add some ribbon so I can tie a little bow. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this up on my own. We will cut to the, I know it's short, okay? You don't have to tell me. I will make some little matching shorts to go along with it. I just didn't have enough fabric, so I hope it's cute. Let me know what you think. The second project we're doing in this video is the strawberry set. It's this really cute, ruffly, long sleeve, flouncy, front tie top. The shorts in these pictures, I think, kind of give diaper. That's like a little too much ruffle for me, but I think the top is really cute. To make this top, I'm using a pattern I already have called the Tilly top. We're obviously gonna have to do quite a bit of adjusting and hacking to make this top into what we actually want, but I think it's a good starting point. So I've noted the adjustments I plan on making. I need to crop it and add flounce and ruffles and all that. For the bottoms, I've never made pants before, but in terms of construction, I do think that pants are just long shorts, and I already have a short pattern that I have tried before, and it's easy and I like it and it fits well, by Caroline Street. It's called the Easy Summer Shorts. I size up 2 just for an extra comfy, flowy feel. That does make them very high-waisted though, so if you do size up, make sure you just check the waist and see if you like how high it comes up. And I think I'm literally just gonna extend the leg. I think it'll be that easy. I found a strawberry pattern double gauze cotton that is very soft and cute. And then I think the way we're gonna do all those ruffles is something called a spiral flounce. Or ruffle flounce, spiral ruffles. I'll link the tutorial. But yeah, I just want something that's like kind of cutesy, kind of fun, kind of ruffly. And I think this will be comfy. Anyway, yeah, let's get into this one. Okay, I've washed my fabric. I got the bottoms and the top pattern. I was about to start cutting, and I actually wanted to show you the mock-up first. This was not a mock-up for what we're actually going to do. This was for a different project that actually failed. But even though this didn't work, I think that the pattern is a lot more appropriate for what we're going to do today. We're using a woven. The pattern's made for woven. This is a knit, so it's not apples to apples, but this is really just for the shape. So all the inspo we were looking at is cropped, so we're definitely going to crop it. And then I'm going to add a little tie here. And then I don't want us to go straight down. I want it to kind of curve towards the back, so I cut the shape that I wanted on the paper pattern. Ideally, you'd do a mock-up. I'm not the best about doing mock-ups, and also this is such a billowy, kind of oversized piece that I really feel like it has enough room for error to where if we need to make tweaks, we totally can. I got 3 yards of fabric, so I think that also gives us a bit of wiggle room in terms of mistakes. And then for the short pattern, this one's kind of beat up. I should just reprint it, but I've just made this so many times, I'm going to just extend it to be my proper inseam length. I think that's 28 inches for me, just from the crotch all the way down. So simple little tweak there, and I think that's it. Let's start cutting. See how this looks. I nailed it, actually. I nailed it, first try. I'm on a roll in this video of just cutting the paper pattern. You're not supposed to do that. That's not recommended. There's a method to how to properly adjust paper patterns. I don't know what the method is, so I just kind of cut it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. This time it worked. It's actually exactly what I wanted. I'm pretty excited. I was looking at the unsewn pieces and thought that's gonna look boxy and terrible. I think it lays really cute. I'm gonna start with the flounce. I'm gonna do flounce along all the edges. And if it's too annoying, maybe I'll switch out just the neckline for facing and then do flounce from the tie down and around, and then around the sleeves. I don't know. You'll find out. First time doing any type of collar situation, and I really wasn't sure how it should be attached. So I basically did it like this. Although now that I'm looking at it, I think I should have done it to where this seam is under here. Interesting. What I was gonna tell you I was going to do to camouflage this seam was I was going to serge it and then just flip it under and top stitch so that it stays towards the inside. But now I'm feeling like I should probably seam rip. It doesn't get rid of the ugly seam, it just relocates it. But I do think it would be better hidden under this, and then I could tack this down so that it's a lower chance of this flying up and then you see the seam. I know facing would basically solve this. I know facing is technically the right choice, but I just don't want the if I do facing with this fabric, you'll be able to see it through. You'll be able to see the little strawberries through this. That's gonna ruin it. And I do have white cotton, but even then you'll still be able to see the facing. I hate being able to see the facing. I'm still thinking about the sleeves, but yeah. That's my check-in. I never know how to finish these check-ins. Ta-ta. I really was second guessing myself, but I ended up leaving what I had originally done. Just serged that raw edge, flipped it towards the inside, and did a little top stitch. And I think it looks great. The only thing is, I ironed it afterwards, trying to do the right thing. You're supposed to iron after every seam. And I feel like it just took away some of the flounce of the collar, unfortunately, and that's just not as fun. I did not iron the bottom bit though, and I think the bottom looks a lot better. This I just attached right side together and ended up doing a little serge. I should probably top stitch it. It'll look a little better if I do that. I will say though, hemming these spiral flounces, really hard to do, very tricky. Don't think I would recommend it for an absolute beginner. And I don't really want to do it again for the sleeves. So I'm just gonna do a regular fold over hem for these sleeves. So this is basically done. Just gotta do the hem for those and then clip some of those loose threads. The pant pattern is very simple. I've done it on the channel before. I'm going to breeze through that pretty quickly. If I do anything fun or fancy, I'll let you know, but she has a really good tutorial on that pattern in particular, so I won't bore you with that. Yeah, I'm gonna get started. Okay, I told you I would take you along for any changes or modifications I make to the pants. I was feeling like they were a little too boring. So I want to add a little ruffle at the top of the waistband, which I have done once before, and it's really easy to do. It just takes one extra seam. So I'm gonna show you the little method for that. It's cute. This one's gonna be easy. I found some really adorable fabric that I love so much, and I think because I like the fabric so much, the design can be really simple. So I just want a cutesy little two-piece set, long sleeve, long pants because it's winter still. For the top, I'm using this boat neck pattern that I already have. I want it to be scoop neck though, so I'm gonna cut the paper pattern to be like a deeper U shape. You can totally buy a scoop neck long sleeve pattern on Etsy. There's a ton of them and they're really inexpensive. For me, I just hate fighting with my printer. I avoid new patterns as much as possible because my printer never wants to work. And then we're doing the same deal for the pants. I'm using Coraline Street's Easy Summer Shorts and I'm going to extend it. Unless that didn't work, in which case I'll pivot. The only extra little detail for this one is I want to put lace everywhere, basically. Neckline, on the cuffs, the hem, down the side seam of the pants. Like, I just want lace everywhere. I think it's so cute. I used to have a little nightgown that was blue when I was little, and it had lace like this with a little rosette in the middle. Adorable. Yeah, that's the plan. This one I think will be beginner friendly. The top is fully constructed. I did need to trim the sleeves. I keep forgetting to adjust the paper pattern, but the sleeves on this one are very long. I also think that they're pretty slim fitting, so next time I would probably give myself a little bit of extra ease because I don't like super tight pajamas, but really now all we need to do is add that lace elastic around the neckline, the hemline, and possibly the cuffs. Now the lace I bought, I don't know where the confusion came from, but this is not elastic stretchy at all. It's actually very stiff and scratchy. And I bought this like months ago planning for this video, so I should have checked, but yeah, this is not, it's the right shape and size, but it's not the right feel. Definitely don't want to put stiff lace on knit fabric. I feel like you definitely need something that has some give. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to use this Pico elastic that I did use in my last pajama video. Not the exact same look I was going for. I think this was cute, but it kind of reminded me a little bit too much of like undergarments. I don't know why specifically. I think this is used pretty commonly in like bras. So that's what it makes me think of. I was kind of, yeah, just going for something that looked a little bit more like lace, but this'll do. I don't want to order something and have to wait. I want to get this done today because I think that's actually possible. I think you put it, yeah, you put it right side together like anything else, and then probably zigzag stitch, and then you flip it and do another like top stitch, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna be so honest, that went a lot better in my head than in reality. It took me a couple tries, a lot of seam ripping, and seam ripping a zigzag stitch on elastic is really tough. I don't recommend. It just takes a lot of trial and error to figure out how much tension to put on the elastic, with ideally not putting any tension on the fabric at all and then still have it move freely through the machine. It's tough. And I think with all my seam ripping and pulling and whatever, I kind of damaged the elastic a little bit. Or I put too much tension, I don't know what happened, but it's a little bit wavy along the neckline in certain areas, and it should be laying flat ideally. So, quick easy fix is I'm just going to put a little gather stitch in the middle because that'll put enough tension on the neckline to where it will lay flat and won't be saggy. I said I was gonna probably put elastic on like the sleeves and the hem of the shirt. Changed my mind, I don't wanna do that anymore. The top's annoying me now, so we're gonna do the pants, which should be fun and easy and simple, hopefully. I've been chipping away at the pants. I didn't feel like I needed to bring you along for the whole process because they're the same exact pattern as the last one. Just sewing the two front pieces together, the two back pieces together, and then you join them down kind of the inseam and then side seams. Fold the top over to make a channel for the elastic. Once you insert your elastic, you're at this stage where we need to just hem the bottom and then we're done. I'm going with a lettuce hem for the top and the bottom. The lace was just too hard for me. I don't want to do it again. So I do feel a lettuce hem is my favorite way to finish off knits because you don't need to do the fold over. I feel like the fold over is what can end up looking kind of wavy and wonky for knit fabrics. With a lettuce hem, you kind of want it to look wavy and a little wonky. So it ends up kind of working in your favor. You can play around with the settings and the stitch length and how wide you do your zigzag stitch in order to get the look that you're going for. So practice on a scrap first, but what I like to do is I have my needle position at 3. My stitch length is at 2. I like it more compact because then I don't feel like I need to go over it as many times. And then I do have it on a zigzag stitch. I switched out the presser foot from the walking foot to a regular foot because with what we're doing, we actually do want to stretch the fabric so that it does wave, so we don't need the walking foot because that helps prevent the waviness. After doing a couple starting stitches, you're going to start stretching the fabric to only catch the fabric on the left side, and then the needle will be going just outside of the fabric on the right side. The tighter you pull the fabric, the more compact and defined those waves will be. If you pull it a little bit less, there'll be more loose waves. You need to go over this several times. I usually do 3 or 4 times. And this is how it looks after 4 passes.